What tier physique do you have? Today, we're gonna break down exactly which of the 4 tiers your physique sits under by calculating your score using 3 key metrics. And when we're talking about a physique, we're talking about the aesthetic physique, the one that we talk about in all videos. We're not talking about a bodybuilding physique, probably be a different video. We're gonna use FFMI to judge how much muscle you have. We're gonna go over your bone structure and your body fat percent, which I think we can all agree, those are the 3 main factors that would really determine an aesthetic physique. Obviously, there are other factors, but these are the 3 main ones. Mainly, this is for natural guys as well. For guys that are enhanced, these numbers are gonna get completely blown out of the water. You're pretty much gonna cap out here almost instantly. And in terms of the tiers of a physique, we're gonna use the scores that you get from each category, add them all together, and that's where you'll get your score. So from 0 to 2, this is a low number. This is pretty much not having any training experience or having bad genetics. From 3 to 5, this is an okay physique. Usually, maybe you've been training, but it's probably under a year, or you've just been super inconsistent. And then from 6 to 7, this is a good physique. I believe me and Nelson sit around 7.5, almost 8. This is usually 2+ years of training or really good genetics and maybe like a year of training. And then an elite score is having probably 2 years of training plus good genetics, or maybe just 5 years of consistent training with average genetics. An 8 and a 9 is an elite score. And also, you might be stuck at a score, but it's like a simple few tweaks that you need to make to bump up. Like you might be able to go from a 5 to a 6. And something as simple as supplementing creatine. That's a great way to naturally boost your muscle gain as a natural. And in terms of creatine, I suggest you just take creatine gummies. You can take it when you travel. It's way easier to use. They taste amazing. And I've found personally, it's a way easier way to actually just remember to take my creatine. I suggest you go with Tasty Gains. They've got third-party testing. There's so many dodgy brands out there. This stuff is legit and they make the best tasting gummies. Creatine has so many benefits, from strength gain, an extra 2 to 4 pounds of muscle mass each year. Even for brain function, this stuff is amazing. That is the first link in the description. So now let's get into your muscle, so your FFMI score. So FFMI is fat-free mass index. This is a simple score you can work out on a basic calculator online. So if you scored under 18, you get no points here. Under 18 is probably most guys without training experience. Yeah, pretty much everyone over a year of training experience is over 18. You might even have been born higher FFMI than 18 if you got pretty good genetics. At 18 to 20 FFMI, this is still relatively low. You either haven't been training, you haven't been training for long, or you just have the worst fucking genetics in the world. You get 1 point. From 20 to 22, this is a relatively good FFMI to have. It means you've been training pretty consistently for a while now. You have a decent amount of muscle mass and strength. And I'd honestly say this is probably where like 90% of you are. It's not until like a couple years of training that you'll really exceed this. You get 2 points for this. And then 22 plus, you've got a good amount of muscle mass at this point. You've been training for a while, 3, 4, 5 years, and you probably have a good physique. You will get 3 points for that. Okay, so remember your score for your muscle FFMI. Now we're gonna go into bone structure, which we're gonna use shoulder to waist ratio. So this is the circumference of your shoulders divided by the circumference of your waist. Under 1.3, you get no points. Now I must say that genetics play a pretty big part in your shoulder to waist ratio. You might just have smaller or bigger clavicles or a naturally wider waist, but with training, you can massively increase this. Most guys that have been training for a decent amount of time will have above a 1.3 shoulder to waist. So from 1.3 to 1.4, you get 1 point. 1.4 to 1.5, you get 2 points. And from 1.5 to 1.6, you get 3 points. This is a very good shoulder to waist ratio. Women actually ranked 1.6 as the most ideal shoulder to waist ratio. So that's actually like the Goldilocks zone, around 1.6. And I believe 3 years, 4 years of natural training, most guys should be there. And then above 1.6, you get 4. Now, maybe like a stupidly high shoulder to waist ratio might be a negative, but that's just such a unicorn. I'm not even going to include that. And you'll notice, guys, this has the most impact on your score. And that's because it's basically like a combination of these two here if you weren't considering genetics. And it's going to play the biggest role in your aesthetics. Okay, so that is why you get the biggest score for that. Yeah, these sort of all tie into each other, because if you had low body fat percentage and high muscle, this number is going to be high. And getting into that, your body fat percentage massively impacts your aesthetics as well. So 8 to 10% body fat is the peak. This is where you look lean in any lighting. So natural lighting at the beach, everything's cut out, your abs are dug out. This requires an actual structured diet. I don't think anyone gets here by accident unless they have extreme like ectomorph genetics, especially as an adult. And also you're probably gonna say, well, 8 to 10%, that isn't sustainable and it's probably not for you. But that doesn't change the fact that that's the most aesthetic body fat percentage and you just look insane. And I know there's a lot of you guys and there's a bunch of guys on YouTube that are high body fat enthusiasts and they say, you must have to be 20% body fat to look big. And yeah, okay, I slightly agree with that. Being higher body fat makes you look bigger in clothes. But I personally think for aesthetics, and if you actually have your shirt off, being leaner is just always better. And yes, you might have to trade off some size to be that lean, especially as a natural. You can't really have both, but I still think being lean is by far the best. There's a reason all your favorite influencers and all the people you see online on your explore page are like 10% body fat. It's because they're the best to look at, period. Then we have 10 to 13%, you get 1 point. This is still very good. And then 13 to 16%, which is probably most of you, you get a 0. At 17% plus, you actually get a point taken off you because you suck so much. Now, in all seriousness, yeah, 17 plus just really isn't ideal. Yeah, and that might be a lot of you, and I'm sorry, but that's the truth of the matter of it. If you do want to get kind of a better idea of where you are, you can get a full comprehensive breakdown of every factor about your physique, your weak points, your strong points, your body fat percentage. We actually measure your shoulder to waist ratio in diameter. You can get a full analysis in the description. It's that second link. We only do a couple of these a week because our spots get filled, because it actually takes time for us to do. We spend like 20 to 30 minutes personally analyzing your physique. It's way more in depth than you think. And then we'll basically give you like a full roadmap going forward after that. And then yeah, even if we intentionally got above 17% body fat, it wasn't a good idea. I've only been above this once and I massively regretted it, because you get above 17% and then what? You just got to cut a bunch of fat off. It's just super unproductive. You want to stay in that Goldilocks zone between 13% and 10%. So now let's break down an example score. I'm gonna do mine. So I believe I have almost a 23 FFMI. It's like 22.9. I'd get 3 points. My shoulder to waist is bang on 1.6. So we'll go 4 points. My body fat right now, okay, like I said, do as I say, not as I do. I took the bulk a tad too far. I'm probably like 14, 15% body fat. So I don't get a point there. So total, I've got 7 points, which means 2+ years of training or good genetics, which is true. I've been training for almost 5 years now. Wouldn't say I have good genetics, but that places me at 7. And that's basically it, guys. I know you boys love numbers, you love all the autistic stuff, and you know, that's why we make these videos. Also guys, this isn't like a doomist, like black pill video or anything like that. Like if you scored a low number, it's not like it's over or anything. You should just aim to get a high number, and that should be motivating you to jump up a few numbers, because I believe anyone can literally go up to a 7 or an 8, even a 9. Yeah. I mean, even if you got a low score or a high score, either way, you've kind of solved your body dysmorphia and you now know where you are and you can have a game plan going forward. Anyway, quick little short one. Hope you enjoyed it. Been appreciating the support. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.